Hi, my name is Gloria Stickney, and welcome to So Fabulous Incorporated in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. And we'll soon be teaching some quilting classes using the square and a square technique. And I wanted to show you why the square and a square technique is our favorite method of piecework. Several years ago, I made a quilt that had to have 150 half square triangles in it. And the instructions were: cut a square, draw a diagonal line, sew 1/4 inch on both sides of the diagonal line, cut on the diagonal line, press it open, and then re-square up. There had to be an easier way to be able to create half square triangles without all those steps. And then I found the square and a square technique, and I knew this is it. This is the plan. One technique, one ruler, 41 different options that you can combine to make several different units in amazing quilt designs. And what you can create is just beautiful. You can create exact triangles and precise points very easily and very quickly, and we'll show you how. So let's do a quick overview of the square and a square ruler. You take your square and you sew strips on all 4 sides, and you can do that chain piecing, and so that means that you can go very quickly and very easily. The square and a square ruler, there's 2 basic trims that you're going to create with this ruler. One is whenever you trim with a seam allowance on beyond the point. So you look at the point of your intersection where your 2 sides came together, you take that point and you line it up with the intersection of the square and a square ruler, and so that your 90-degree lines then on your seams, and your bold line is exactly through the opposite point. And then when you do that, you take your rotary cutter and you trim away, and when you've done that on all 4 sides, you end up with a square inside of a square with 4 seam allowances that are perfectly 1/4 inch size then to be able to create your unit. Or what if we took that and we trimmed it so that our seam allowances came exactly to the point? There's no seams beyond where our beginning square was. Anytime that we don't leave a seam allowance, we're going to take our ruler and we're going to cut through that intersection. And whenever you have them off on all 4 points, then I'm going to trim through all 4 points. And you remember those 150 half square triangles that I had to make? If I would have used this ruler, I could have cut them 4 at a time, and would not have had to go back and re-square up the units. So there are my half square triangles using the square and a square technique. We can also do a combination where we leave a seam allowance beyond 2 opposite points, and we take the seam allowance off on the remaining 2 points. And remember, anytime that I take the seam allowance off, I will cut through that point. And when I do that now, there I have 2 perfectly even flying geese. And when I take all of these units now that I've created, I can take my blocks and line them up, and then my units are ready to sew together then, and being able to create my squares. There's my flying geese and my square and a square, and that's one of the units that we create with the Kisses from Your Beloved quilt. And here is a block then that has all of the half square triangles that we clipped. Very easy, very quickly. No need to go back and resize. You've done all of the work whenever you did your trim with a square and a square ruler. And as my granddaughter would say, easy peasy, lemon squeezy. We've looked at 3 of the options today for using the square and a square technique, and there's a total of 41 currently designed. You can take those options then and combine them and make an unlimited number of quilt designs. The square and a square technique books comes with the square book and also with the diamond book, and it has the charts in it, how to be able to determine the size of your square and the size of your strip, and then what your finished unit will measure then to be able to create your quilt designs with. We love it because there's 30 quilts in this book already designed with multiple different sizes with the instructions of how to be able to create your perfect units. You can also do the same with the Diamonds book. And in the Diamonds book, it has several of the combination options already included. So we will be teaching a square and a square class soon, and we hope that you will sign up. The instructions for are on our website at SewFabulousQuilts.com. That's SEW fabulousquilts.com, and we teach live in person here in Winston-Salem, and we have some tips and tricks of how you can take this technique and make it your favorite choice of quilting as well. Enjoy your day, happy quilting, and we hope to hear from you soon. Thank you.